Following the capture of power by the ruling NRM in 1986, the need for people to manage their own affairs and taking power to the local administrative units was key as opposed to micromanaging the state of affairs from the central government, hence the introduction of the decentralization policy in 1992. At the time, Karamoja sub-region was comprised of two districts of Moroto and Kotido. Due to the vastness of the region, other districts were carved out of the two. These were Nakapiripirit, Abim, Napak, Amudat, Kabong, Karenga, and Nabilatuk, bringing the number to 9 districts, constituting Karamoja sub-region. The region now has 2 municipalities of Moroto and Kotido, town councils with several sub-counties created since then. The whole idea here is to take services to the people as well as manage their own affairs. However, in the context of Karamoja sub-region, what has been the experience of decentralization in regard to service delivery?
At this time, all decisions are based at the district. Some decisions are based at the sub-county. So we are so more relevant to the people, and that the people are beginning to see the value of government and the value of what their contribution to the national government.
The central government started fighting the decentralization, started fighting and local governments. One, by ensuring that the grant that goes to local government is really very minimal. Just about over 1.1 trillion, which is not enough for all these local governments.
We have stringent guidelines from the ministries. I feel as a district chairperson that there is no decentralization. I don't feel this decentralization, but I feel suffocated. I feel the patronage.
Whereas Nakapiripirit district chairperson John Nangiro says many roads have been opened in his districts. Other leaders in the region say under the local administrative units, they have politically been organized, but not totally independent from the interference of central government in the management of resources in their districts.
For instance, we were able to repair a road from Morita to Komaret to Lemsui, which had been completely, which had become non-existent, yet was existing during the colonial time.
Dependent to make a full blast service delivery. You have to talk to Ministry X, you have to talk to Ministry Y, and of course, time, the time is short, the response takes long, so you find the challenge keeps growing and keeps changing, and by the time you want to address the other original challenge, you find it has changed.
On the other hand, they say interference of the central government has to a greater extent affected service delivery.
When it comes to areas of procurement, local governments that had been given the powers to do some procurements, now the center said no. Some procurements are supposed to be done by the center and not the local governments.
Policy changes and new guidelines from the central government that involves remitting all revenues collected by local government to the central government national treasury has affected planning and service delivery to many of the administrative units in Karamoja sub-region.
We are mandated to collect local revenue, and with some programs tagged towards spending under local revenue. So some
late disbursement of funds from central government to local government to enhance service delivery in Karamoja sub-region, marred with human resource interferences in the line of recruitment, is another component that has crippled the decentralization policy in Karamoja region.
For example, Moroto municipality operating at 41% without law enforcement with 1 CDO. So what kind of output? What kind of results will you get down here?
Some of the procedures are too lengthy, the funds come a bit late, and when it comes late, for instance, to process some of the documents to make this money be spent, it takes long. That is not all. Even first of all, to some payment that the cow has already authorized takes time.
On the other hand, local governments have also suffered from low absorption capacity. But what causes this?
You give the development money, you release it towards the end of the financial year. How do you expect the local government to procure service providers then commission the project within a month, and yet this is a project that can go up to even 1 billion.
They are capable of absorbing money for as long as they are sent in synchronization with our budgets. We have a budget and a plan. Some activities we plan for the first quarter. Why shouldn't the Ministry of Finance release for us this money? They must be able to release for us the money that we requested for according to our plans, not according to their plans.
Whereas much is being done in other sectors, local leaders in Karamoja sub-region say their efforts to have a streamlined and effective health sector has been frustrated by interference from the central government.
And made drugs. If we could get enough drugs or the more resources allocated in health, we could also see that improving.
The division should have a health center 3. So it has taken long. We have been fighting for it, and I've just seen it 2 days ago that Moroto DMO clinic and Nakaperimen has been upgraded after a long battle, and we had given up.
In education, leaders in Karamoja sub-region say many schools remain uncoded, with the school structures not up to standard. This is attributed to the reduced education budgets under the local government administrative units.
Failure to code some of the schools that were created under community management. We have them in Acheren areas which are about 20 kilometers away from the current places which are present schools. Morita and Nagapiripiri are 20 kilometers each away from ice.
And you find that we lack some infrastructure. Like recently, we used to have a budget of 174 for infrastructure of schools. But how, I don't know what criteria they used, and they cut us to almost less than 30 million. Less than 30 million. So you find the washrooms are bad, the desks of the schools are all worn out. The buildings that were built many years ago have the SFG.
Financial disparities between central government funded projects and local government projects remain frustrated.
A road in Nabilatuk district, I should say, is a kilometer. It's built. Let me take our last budget. We are building a kilometer at 15 million per kilometer of the road, rehabilitating. Even for the roads, access roads that we have opened in the sub-counties, we are opening a kilometer at around 12 to again 15 million. So you see, the lower it goes, the lower the cost also goes. Now, but when there are roads in my district that are managed by the Ministry of Works, there is a road of 6 kilometers that they have allocated 642 million. Meaning, for each of the kilometer or a kilometer of that road, we are rehabilitating at more than 100 million shillings.
So I see sometimes we are being blamed on shoddy work, but you are saying you build a classroom at 60 million, whereas the central government, similar class is being built at 120, others 150.
The undermining of district councils' decisions from the central government affecting the operationalization of the decentralization policy in Karamoja sub-region.
So where is the power of council if parliament has to approve the resources that already council has approved? So I am seeing we are having decentralization dying. We are recentralizing.
In Karamoja sub-region, leaders also took note irregularities in the implementation of decentralization policy, which they say bureaucrats in the central government have taken advantage to support corruption.
The ministries are using local governments for stealing funds because they have not even declared any funds that they have ever returned to. Funds for last year, for example, we returned, Nabila took return 700 million, something more than 700 million shillings, which was meant for wage. Why was it reflected? As Parliament even appropriated that money, did the cabinet even declare that yes, this was a saving of last year? What we are now doing is a new budget. Where is the money that they normally return?
Due to the inconsistencies affecting implementation of the decentralization policy, leaders in Karamoja sub-region want local government act reviewed for better service delivery.
To working together with the parliament, working together with the executive to see that the local, the decentralized policy or act of the decentralization policy or local government act is reviewed to fit what the local governments want.
We must accept that we have sinned and sinned. So, and then once we accept that, we need to review. We need to sit with the stakeholders of
At the heart of a crisis in the implementation of the decentralization policy in Karamoja sub-region, created municipalities of Moroto and Kotido remain small with a wide tax base. These municipalities, for them to survive, districts are now complementing most of their works.
We are facing the same challenges, the same problems, apart from the fact that the urban centers are well facilitated in terms of communication. They are within reach.
Population-wise, the districts have bigger populations, more parishes, more villages. So extending services to a wider coverage is not the same as serving a smaller population in a small geographical space.